What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, I'm gonna ask you to hit that like button and subscribe for the algorithm, as Lane Norton would say. And when we get started here, the title of my video, I know, is the budget home gym dead? Now, I've been watching HomeGymCon 2025, like I'm sure a lot of you have. And that is such a difficult question to answer. And what I'm gonna say here is, I think that the home gym, or I should say a budget home gym as we know it, has been redefined. So maybe the old way that we looked at a home budget gym is dead, in the sense that a budget gym or budget gym equipment is no longer viewed the same way as in the industry as it was prior. Budget now has a shift towards a value model of what the cost of an item is relative compared to the mid to upper level items in the industry. So when I first started building my home gym, I was able to get, a bunch of really good budget pieces of gym equipment, a couple $100, to really load out my gym with a bunch of pieces. And as time went on, I sold some of those, upgraded them one by one. Now, this isn't a knock against any specific company that was at HomeGymCon. There's a lot of really cool stuff. There's still a lot of good budget gym equipment. But what I think we're seeing is that a lot of companies now, and this is, again, isn't a blanket statement. There's companies out there that are making great, affordable pieces of equipment. But I think the model for a lot of companies has shifted. And they've shifted to say, okay, the upper level or mid to upper level piece of gym equipment costs $2,500 to $3,500. Rather than us targeting that $500 piece of equipment, we're gonna target the $1,500 piece of equipment. We're gonna build something that gives a similar experience, maybe not the same build quality or manufacturing as the $3,500 one, and still be able to, have our clientele purchase those items for their home gym. This makes sense from a business standpoint. I run a sales business, I own a sales business. Sales is nothing new to me. If you follow guys like Alex Ramosi, they would tell you, why should you sell 1,000 things to someone for $1 versus selling one thing to one person for $1,000? So this shifts the market completely. And the reason for that is that the barrier to entry is going to be much more difficult to people on the lower end, because even though before, you were taking people and saying, okay, you could buy this $300 or $400 piece of gym equipment, which you can still do, but it's shrinking. And now everything's shifting over to saying, okay, now to start your home gym, it's going to be XYZ amount of money versus what it was before. Now, those people who can afford to enter into the market are getting really great pieces of equipment. But the problem is, it's going to leave a vacuum at the lower end where people who, aren't looking to build a home gym, now this is coming from me, right? I mean, how many pieces of equipment do I have in here? And clearly I have some that are, expensive, but I'm looking at this completely from a financial economic standpoint. I don't believe the budget home gym is dead, but I do believe after seeing all the releases and everything that has been redefined. Whether that's good or bad, I mean, for someone like me, obviously I'm looking to upgrade pieces, so I like to see all those new pieces that are in that mid-range. For someone who's just starting out, it's almost like you missed your chance to get some really, really, really good, super cheap pieces, unless you're, scouring marketplace, things like that. Because I do think a lot of the companies, now that they've established themselves in the industry, are going to move towards that model of that mid to high level range gym equipment. And that leaves a lot of people sort of behind the scenes to say, well, I can't really afford now to do that. I may have to just stay at the commercial gym, or, I'm just gonna use a barbell, and some adjustable dumbbells, which is great. That's fine. You can get a great workout for that. But I think there's a lot of people who enjoy gym equipment, but they can't enjoy a lower end because there's not as much development there anymore, right? And there are still companies, and I'm gonna shout them out, GMWD Mikolo, those guys are releasing good pieces of equipment at low prices, right? Obviously they have a mid to upper that's a little more expensive. The pendulum squat's over $800. They have their new leg extension, leg curl that's, you know, what is it, $999 right now. But then we're seeing a lot of other companies that are $2,000 or $3,000 for gym equipment, which just for a lot of people is not a feasible thing. So the entry point has shifted, right? We've shifted from when you first start out, you can get a leg extension, or which you still can, but now everything is shifting away and going towards, well, there's a market that's smaller that's willing to pay a premium for these items because they don't want to pay for the super expensive versions, right? So instead of getting something like Prime, you know, which I would consider to be one of the more expensive companies, you can get something in the mid-range that's still going to be way more expensive than an entry-level piece of equipment, but it's going to mimic what you can get from a higher-end company. So this is just a little rant, guys. This is just sort of what I've seen at, you know, the releases from HomeGymCon. I'm enjoying all of the footage. I wish, you know, I was able to go. That's not something that was in the cards for me. My son's 7th birthday is this week, and I had a nice celebration for him the other day, which was nice over the weekend. So it was more important for me to go see my son than it was, you know, to be at HomeGymCon. Sorry, HomeGymCon. So, you know, make sure you guys drop your comments below. Let me know what you think. I know I'm not the only one who's seen this sort of shift in the industry in terms of the cost of gym equipment. It's not going to stop me from buying stuff. Obviously, I have a whole bunch of Temple of Gainz stuff. It's not the end of my purchasing from Temple of Gainz. You know, I love their equipment. There's other gym companies out there that I love their equipment that are expensive. And but just because that price point works for me or some other people doesn't mean that that's totally how the industry should move. So, you know, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think. There's going to be links in the description. You know, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.